Welcome to our introduction of parts, wholes, and equations. Today we're going to talk about how two parts make a whole and how to create an equation out of those parts. Last week we were creating addition equations. Today we're going to mostly be talking about how to create subtraction equations. But before we can create our equations, first we need to discuss parts and wholes. Let's start with the picture I have on the screen. I have one whole ocean on my screen. My ocean is made up of two parts, fish and turtles. To figure out how many animals are in my ocean, I have to count the parts first. Let's start with my fish. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 fish. So one of my parts in my ocean is 3 fish. I have 3 parts fish. Now let's count my turtles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 turtles. That means that my ocean is 4 parts turtle. So my whole ocean is 3 parts fish and 4 parts turtles. Now let's find out how many animals are in my whole ocean. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 animals in my whole ocean. So 7 animals in my whole ocean is 3 parts fish and 4 parts turtle. Let's do another example. I have a whole sky, but my sky is made out of 2 parts. I have butterflies as one part and birds as another part. To figure out how many animals are in my sky, I have to count the parts first. Let's first count my butterflies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my sky is 5 parts butterflies. How many birds do I have? My sky is 1, 2, 3 parts birds. So to figure out how many animals are in my whole sky, I have to count my part butterflies and my part birds. Let's find out how many animals are in my whole sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 animals in my whole sky. 8 animals in my whole sky were made up of 5 part butterflies and 3 part birds. Let's do one more example before we start making our equations. Here I have a whole picnic. My picnic is made out of 2 parts, bananas and apples. To figure out how much food is in my whole picnic, first I have to count the parts. I have 1, 2 bananas as one part, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apples as another part. So I have 2 parts bananas and 6 parts apples in my picnic. Now I can figure out how much food I have in my whole picnic. So my whole picnic is made out of 2 parts bananas, 6 parts apples. That means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of food in my whole picnic. So my whole picnic is 8 pieces of food, and I have 2 parts bananas and 6 parts apples. Now let's look at the next one. We're going to move on from wholes, parts, and we're going to actually create an equation out of this picture that I have here. I have a whole trolls village here. My whole trolls village is made out of 2 parts, trolls and Bergens. First, in order to find out how many things I have in my whole trolls village, first I have to count the parts. I have 1, 2, 3 parts trolls, and I have 1, 2, 3 parts Bergens. So my whole trolls village is made out of 3 parts trolls and 3 parts Bergens. Now I can find out how many trolls and Bergens I have all together in my trolls village. So my whole trolls village is made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. There are 6 things all together in my trolls village. 3 parts Bergens and 3 parts trolls. Now, to turn all of this information, in order to turn all of this into a subtraction problem, we're going to start with the whole. So let's start with my whole, and then let's start making a subtraction problem. Subtract means to take away. So let's take away one of my parts. Let's take away my trolls. Let's take these guys away. Ignore this one. He's all by himself. So let's take away my trolls. I just took away 3 parts. How many do I have left? I have 1, 2, 3 Bergens, which I already knew because it was over here. So I had 6 things in my trolls village. I took away 3 of them, and now I have 3 left. I had 6 up here. We start with the biggest number. We start with the whole. I had 6. I took away 3 of them, and I had 3 left. So I have 3 left. I had 6, I took away 3, and I have 3 left. Let's do another example. Here I have a classroom. My whole classroom is made out of 2 parts. Some people left backpacks in my classroom, and some people left lunches in my classroom. So in order to figure out how many things were left behind in my whole classroom, we have to look at the 2 parts. The first part here are backpacks. So let's look at backpacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 backpacks that were left over. Now let's look at how much food was left over. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 trays of food that were left over. So my whole classroom was divided into 2 parts, 5 backpacks and 3 lunch trays. Now I can figure out how many things were left behind in my whole classroom. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things were left behind in my whole classroom. So the 8 things that were left behind were 5 backpacks and 3 lunch trays. Now I can turn this into an equation. Remember, to turn this into a subtraction problem, we always start with the whole. So I'm going to start with the whole first. Now to subtract means to take away. So let's take away one part of my problem. Let's take away the lunches. Let's take these away because they were probably going to get stinky soon in this classroom. So let's take away the lunches. I took away the lunches. So let's make that into my equation. I took away my lunches, the 3. That's the part that I took away. So how many things were left in my classroom? Only the backpacks. When I took away the lunches, I dropped them off in the cafeteria in the garbage can because I didn't want them in my classroom. How many things were left? We already got rid of the 3, so the only thing left is the 5 backpacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many things are left. So 8 minus 3 has to equal 5. The 5 comes from right here. That's where my 5 comes from. The 5 comes from the part that was left over. So that means 8 minus 3 equals 5. 8 was my whole, 3 was what I got rid of, and 5 was how many were left. Let's do one last example before I let you guys go. Here I have a town from one of my favorite movies. You guys might recognize this movie. It's one of my favorites. So here I have a town from Coco. First, in order to figure out how many people I have in my whole town, let's look at my two parts. I have one part people that are alive, and I have one part people from the land of the remembered. So let's start with these guys first. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on this part of the people who are alive. I have 4 people here. And I have 2 people from the land of the remembered over here. So I have 2 over there. So my whole town is made out of 2 parts, my 4 and my 2. Now I can figure out how many people are in my whole town right now. So I have 4 and 2 make how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 people in my whole town. 4 parts people who are alive and 2 parts people who are in the land of the remembered. That's 6 people all together in my whole town. Now I can turn all of this information into an equation. Remember, to turn all of this into a subtraction problem, we always start with the whole. So we're going to start with the whole and then we subtract. Let's get rid of, in order to subtract, that means we're getting rid of something. To subtract means to take away. So let's take away one of my parts. Let's take these guys away because they're going to go back home. So let's take these guys away. We're left with these guys. So I got rid of 2. I got rid of the part of my equation that had 2 people. I got rid of 2 people. So I had my whole. I started with my biggest number, my whole. I got rid of my 2. So how many are left? We can either look down here and count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, or we can just do the easy part and just look at our part that we already had. We had already counted them, so we know it has to be a 4. So I had 6. I started with 6. I got rid of 2. And now I have 4 left. One thing that does not matter, it doesn't matter who I would have got rid of. Because what I could have done is, when I was here, I turned this into a math problem and I started with my 6. I could have gotten rid of these guys if I wanted, right? What if I wanted to get rid of these guys? I could have done that. And it still would have worked because if I started with my whole and I got rid of 4, then how many would I have left? I would have had 2 left. So it doesn't matter the order. It doesn't matter who I get rid of. It doesn't matter who I take away or who I subtract. What matters is that I always start with my whole. The number who's by himself up here, I always start with him first, and then I can get rid of any of these 2. It doesn't matter who I get rid of, but I do need to start with the whole. After I start with the whole, then I can get rid of any of these 2 parts, and then the next one is left over. So we're going to work on this, on equations, wholes, and parts. We're going to be working on this today and tomorrow, and we're going to keep working on subtraction strategies for the rest of the week. So keep practicing your subtraction strategies. I will see you guys very, very soon.